Hey folks, happy Monday. We continue our FUMCCV prayer devotional, March 22nd, March 2022, I should say. I've got my prayer calendar here in front of me. It is Monday, March 14th. And the prompt today is, when is it easy or hard to forgive? When is it easy or hard to forgive? And I got to tell you, so our prayer ministry folks come up with these prompts and find the scriptures. They just do a wonderful job. Whichever one of them developed today must be more spiritual than me. When is it easy? When is it hard to forgive? Always, isn't it? When is it easy? Yeah, not very often. So our reading today is Matthew chapter 5, verse 43 is where we're going to start. Matthew 5:43. And invite you to turn there. As you turn there, I remind you that the Gospel of Matthew is written to a community up around the Sea of Galilee. And this was a pretty unique place in the Greco-Roman world, ancient Near East, because living around the Sea of Galilee were Jews and Gentiles, and Jewish Christians and Gentile Christians. So really four groups of people. We've become accustomed to living with, being in relationship to, being around people who are very different from us. In those days, it was really just the people in the larger port cities who would be accustomed to that. So you would think of the place up around the Sea of Galilee, like small town America 50 years ago. Everyone knew everyone. Everyone was sort of alike. It was very homogenous in the small towns, but uniquely around the Sea of Galilee, you had this great mixture of people. Well, the great mixture of people also creates some chaos sometimes and some conflict. And so Matthew speaks to that. So Matthew chapter 5, verse 43, Matthew 5:43. You have heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be children of your Father in heaven. For he makes his sun rise on the evil and on the good, and sends rain on the righteous and on the unrighteous. For if you love those who love you, what reward do you have? Do not even the tax collectors do the same? And if you greet only your brothers and sisters, what more are you doing than others? Do not even the Gentiles do the same? Be perfect there as your heavenly Father is perfect. Now that is a call to us to go above and beyond. That is the hardest places of love and forgiveness, right? The easiest ones with those who we love and we're closest to, that are most like us, and the hardest ones, those folks on the other side of the aisle, those folks who live very different, those folks who think different, those folks whose politics are different, those folks who their choices are different, all of it. But we hear in this passage that God has called us to be loving forgivers of all of those folks, which just reminds me that some of this forgiveness stuff, I might be able to do some of it, but the vast majority of it, only by the grace of God will I ever get there. So I hope that God's grace is with each of us this week as we discover more about forgiveness, and maybe this week think a little bit about those who it's really hard to forgive, and pray that God's grace would wash over us and give us the courage and wisdom to do just that. God bless. Have a great day.